Hello, everybody. I am really excited to be here today because today is December 1st. And we are officially in the final month of the year. And this is usually when people start thinking about goals, intentions, resolutions, vision boards, all of the things that supposedly set you up for a fresh start for the new year. But here's the problem is that most people carry the exact same point of view into the new year that they held all year long, right? So the same thoughts, the same interpretations, the same reactions, the same patterns, and then they wonder why everything keeps playing out the exact same way year after year after year after year after year. So today, I want to talk about something that completely shifts the way you experience the rest of this year and the way you walk into 2026. I want to talk about changing your point of view. Not your personality, not your entire identity, not your business strategy, really just the internal perspective you're using to interpret your life. Because your point of view creates the reality you keep seeing over and over and over and over and over. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Mind Body Business Podcast. I'm your host, Jane Belante. And this show is about what happens when you stop separating your life, your work, and your well-being and start leading all of it from truth. Each episode will explore the connection between your thoughts, your body, and your business so you can create a life and success that actually feels good. Let's get started. You could be live with me. I'm live on my Facebook business page every Monday at 10 a.m. Central, or you could be watching the replay on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify. I'm so grateful that you are here. And I want to talk about your point of view, right? So let's take a minute and think about something that keeps repeating for you over and over and over and over and over, like your entire life. What keeps repeating for you? And not like the surface details, not who did what, not the story that you're telling about it, just the pattern itself. Is it the same frustration coming up over and over? Is it that you can't hang on to money? You never have enough money? Is it that you're comparing yourself all the time? Is it that you keep finding yourself in the same situation and saying, why does this keep happening? Because every repeated pattern is reflecting the point of view you're still using. And we don't see it because it feels familiar. And it feels true because this is something that we keep reinforcing over and over and over. And then we keep looking, well, last time I did it, this happened. So that's going to happen again. And that keeps happening. And oh my gosh, why does this keep happening? It becomes this lens that we don't even realize we're looking through. Hey, Michelle. And when this pattern keeps repeating itself, we tend to ask ourselves, why is this happening to me again? But what I want you to understand is the more helpful question. And that question is, what point of view am I holding that keeps creating this pattern? Who am I being? What or who is running the show, right? What point of view am I holding that keeps creating it? Keeps creating this. And that question puts you back into the seat of power, and it puts you back into awareness, or it begins to create awareness because you had no idea you are the one creating this pattern again and again and again and again. And this thing that keeps repeating, maybe you don't ever have enough money. Maybe your relationships keep failing. Maybe you had this great idea for a business and it is just never succeeding in the way that you want it to succeed. These patterns aren't here to punish you. They're here to show you what you've been hanging on to. They're here to show you how you are being so that you can actually step into your power. They're here to show you that these things, these patterns that keep happening, they are your greatest teacher. And if you actually just let yourself learn the lesson and get past it, these patterns aren't going to show up anymore. We grip onto this. And if you've been following me for a while, you might already know this, and you might know this from somewhere else, but your subconscious brain is what's running the show, and your subconscious brain tries to keep you safe. So it grips on to these behaviors and these patterns like we need them to survive. And we grip that belief, we grip the story, we grip the reaction, and we grip this identity that we have that formed around these patterns. And because we're gripping this, we keep recreating it over and over. And listen, you cannot build a new year gripping onto those old patterns. Albert Einstein said, the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results. You can't build a new year from the same person that you were this year if you want change to occur. Does that make sense? So if you are someone who is genuinely ready for 2026 to feel different, you're being asked to change the point of view you've been using to create your life and your business thus far. And it's not about forcing positivity. It's not about telling everybody you're fine. It's really about awareness. Awareness lets you see what you've been believing. It lets you see how you've been interpreting things. And it lets you see where you are actually holding onto a pattern, even if it's a pattern you hate. We hang on to it, and then we wonder why these things keep happening over and over. And when you can see it, you can shift it. And it's crazy because, the more and more and more I study manifestation and quantum physics and the biology of the brain, I realize that there is this quantum field, we can't even see it, where everything that you want is already waiting for you. And the only thing that's standing in your way is the version of you who doesn't trust that yet. And that grip that we are so tightly gripping, right? It's keeping everything that you want away from you. And you're staying in the want and you're staying in the lack instead of letting go of all that force. And when you let it go, like you feel that release in your body, like that anxiety that you're carrying around all the time. You feel it in your stomach, you feel it in your chest, you feel it in your throat. When you release that grip, you can feel it in your body. It feels good. So what if you lived every day from that viewpoint? That everything you want is already waiting for you. You just need to trust it. We're so conditioned to force everything. We're so conditioned to hustle. And so that's why this seems like, an absolute foreign idea to us that we just have to put our intention out there, live like it's already ours, and trust that it's coming. But what if you lived every day from that viewpoint? What if you processed every decision from that viewpoint? What if you walked into 2026 from that viewpoint? Hey, Angela, what would you actually stop forcing? What would you stop doing? Would you stop trying to please everybody else and start focusing on you? Would you stop selling everything that you're selling for so cheap that it doesn't even make sense for you to have a business? Would you stop comparing yourself all the time to everybody else? Would you stop telling yourself that you're not worthy? When you trust that opportunities and experiences and connections are already in motion, you stop interfering with them. And forcing something is really telling yourself that you don't trust it. You don't trust that it's going to happen. Generally, that stems back to self-worth. You don't trust that you're worthy enough for this thing that you want so much, whether in your business, your life, your relationships, whatever it is. You don't trust that it's actually going to happen for you. And that is a direct reaction to the belief that nothing is coming to you unless you force it, unless you push it. And listen, that is conditioning from our society. That's conditioning. What if you didn't have to push? What if your only job was to get out of your own way? And you can do this by stepping out of the mindset that believes your worth or your outcomes are dependent on force. So I want to talk about the future just for a sec. Hey, Pam. I think that, we all say like we really want the life or the business of our dreams, but wanting something and being ready for it are not the same thing. Wanting just keeps you in want. Wanting is saying to the universe, I don't have this, and that's where I'm staying. Readiness is actually an internal shift. It's the moment that your point of view changes. And it's when you stop rehearsing the old pattern, whatever your pattern of lack is. That's the big job, right? And you start practicing the new one. And readiness does not mean being perfect. You know how I feel about perfect, right? It's just it's an illusion. Readiness just means alignment. It's an internal yes. It's a clear, grounded openness that says, I am available for what's meant for me without you having to force it. Because, when you're in the force, when you're trying to make something happen, when you're trying to figure out a decision, when you will not let yourself be clear, how does that feel in your body? One of my patterns of lack is to tell myself that I'm confused and I don't know what I'm doing. And which path should I take? And all that does is keep me in confusion. It keeps me feeling like crap, right? It's not aligned. It's not me saying, I trust that what I'm doing is enough. I trust that what I'm doing in my life and in my business is helping people. I don't have to tell myself that I'm not good enough. I don't have to tell myself that I'm not helping people. I don't have to tell myself that. That's alignment. That is trust. That is me saying, all right, quantum field, I'm ready. I trust in it. I believe in it. And I allow it. And I allow it by surrender. And I'm not saying that this is like something I don't fall back into a lot, but it is the awareness. It's the awareness of how I'm being. It's the awareness of the lens that I'm seeing through and going, all right, I'm back in the force. Let me just surrender this and move on with my day. And just saying, like, I am available for what's meant for me. We can't manufacture alignment. That's just putting ourselves back into the force, back into the hustle, back into a false belief. And then these patterns keep happening over and over and over and over and over. We can't fake alignment. We actually arrive in alignment when we understand who we're being and when our point of view actually shifts. Kim, how are you? So what if you stepped into 2026 differently? What if it is the year where everything you have been wanting finally has the conditions to arrive? And this isn't because we tried harder. It's just because we stopped creating from the old point of view. And let's think about that word wanting. Wanting just keeps us wanting. What if the opportunities you're wanting are already around you, but they're just blocked by your old expectations, your old patterns, your old evidence of, well, when I tried this once, this is what happened? What if you released that and stepped out of wanting? What if you looked around you and realized what you already have? What if the people you want to meet, the success you want to experience, the peace you want to feel, what if it all becomes visible the second your point of view shifts? What if this is the moment where you get honest about how you've actually been interpreting your life? Because it is a choice. What if we get to stop dragging all these old patterns and old ways of being across this, line into the new year? What if? What if 2026 is the year where you drop all of your patterns and you step into allowing by surrendering, by trusting, by understanding that you're already worthy, by looking at your patterns? Are you people pleasing? Are you always out of money? Are you always getting sick? Are you always whatever, fill in the blank? And using those patterns as your teacher. Why does this keep happening? Why do I keep allowing this? Why do I keep falling into the same pattern? And I don't want you to sit and try to figure everything out, because you're just going to keep yourself spinning. It's just awareness of, why do I keep doing this? What's the lesson? Where is my medicine? What am I supposed to be learning here? Because when you learn the lesson, you feel it in your body. That anxiety starts to disappear. That choking feeling, somebody stepping on your chest, it starts to go away. So ask yourself this one question: what point of view is shaping the way I move through my life right now? You don't even have to understand it. You don't fix it. Fixing it is just going to keep you in the fixing. It's not going to put you into the allowing. What point of view is shaping the way I move through my life right now? Just become aware of it. And then here's the shift. What point of view would create the year I actually want? That's the shift. What point of view would create the year I actually want? Can you become that now? And that's just a shift in how you're seeing yourself and your life. That point of view that you choose instead of just letting yourself run on autopilot, right? That becomes the foundation you carry into 2026. If you want a different year, you've got to be a different person, that person that's making the decisions, that's not letting themselves run on autopilot, that's not letting themselves accept the thoughts you're creating that stick you right back down into that black hole, right? The I'm not good enough. I need to compare. What if this person says this about me? What if they think I'm not blah, blah, blah? Like what, all the dumb stuff. We cannot become who we want to become and still run those patterns. We have to become aware of those patterns and choose to discredit them and move along as the person that we wish to be. What point of view would create the year I actually want? That's what's going to help you create the 2026 that you really, 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 really want. Opening yourself up for those new experiences, those new opportunities, the way that abundance can just magically show up in your life if you just let it. If you saw your own patterns and you're so tired of them that you are willing to be committed to make the change. And don't just say you're committed and then these patterns keep happening. You never have any money. Whatever. Always getting sick. Why can't I keep a relationship? Like whatever it is. Instead of just like, well, this is just the way I am. What if you committed yourself to changing that? What if you committed to actually being aware of the point of view that you're creating from so that you can shift and create from the point of view that you really, 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 really want? And you don't have to have like pressure to reinvent yourself. It's just an invitation to step back and look clearly and decide to shift the lens you've been using. When you do, everything ahead of you starts to feel different. And it's not because the circumstances changed. It's literally because you changed how you're seeing them. And that one internal shift has the power to change the entire year ahead. So that is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do, if you had any awarenesses during this podcast today, put them in the comments, on YouTube. And you can also, message me and let me know, because my awareness is that I am a disruptor. And when I allow myself to not be a disruptor is when I sit in my own black hole and pretend that I'm not helping, that I'm not, co-creating awareness. And so anytime that you leave a comment, anytime you message me, it really, really propels me to keep showing up. And I appreciate that so much. So I hope that you trust that you will have an amazing week, and I will see you right here next week.